Good morning and welcome to America's Home Cooking. I have a piece of beef here. And as you can see, there's not a lot of marbling in this. You see that? It's a very lean cut of meat. But I want to roast this meat. But the problem is if I roast it, this is going to dry out. All right? And we don't want that to happen. So I bought it because it has a blanket on top of it. This is what you call a blanket. You see, it's a layer of fat. It goes around the top. That's what you need to keep your meat from drying out. Because it's like you going into the sun. The skin on the inside, our muscles and stuff are not supposed to be exposed to the sun. That's why our body puts a scab over it. But if it's open like that and you go in the sun, it's going to dry it out. The same thing when you put this meat into the oven, it's going to dry out if you don't take caution with it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour some oil on this. I'm going to rub this down to give the fat time to melt around it because you will need it. Just like you oil your skin before you go out in the sun, we do the same thing. That's just making an association to help you understand. All right. What you're going to do is you are going to put the fat side up when this cooks. This is exactly what you're going to do is put the fat top side, because if you don't, it'll dry out, and that's the last thing you want to do. Now, beef is such a lovely meat to work with. It has so much flavor, you don't have to do much with it. But what I like to do with a roast like this, I know you can stab it and push garlic into it and seasonings and stuff. But with roast like this that I don't want, I'm not going to cook this all the way because if I cook it all the way, it's going to be dry. What I'm going to do is give it a coat of pepper on the fat. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. Just put a whole layer on. So when I say a blanket, you now know it's fat that has to be on it. And you can sit there and ask the butcher for it. They will. I strongly recommend that you use beef. It has a beef fat is much better. But see what I've done is I've put a whole layer of pepper on this thing. Now, I am going to cover it, but I'm not going to cover it hard. I'll first let it start to cook, and into the cooking, I think I then will put the foil on. I don't want to put it on right now. And that's all I'm going to do with this roast, and I'm going to let it cook. Now this is a 3.5 pound. Now if you cook it all the way, it's going to be dry, all right? Some people like it medium rare. It has more moist, but you have to work chewing on it. So you've got to hit it where you want it. So I can't tell you how long you're going to cook it. I know that when you stab it in the middle, the juices that come out will tell you how far along it has gone. So you make up your mind. But if you cook it 100% all the way through, it's going to be tough. So you've got to sort of range where you want it, where you still have a little bit of pink coming out of it, so it's not so dry. Also remember, because I'm going out today, so I'm going to really have to push to get this done, is that when you take the roast out, lightly cover it up with foil, lightly cover it, and let it sit 20 minutes because you're bringing all the juices up and they're boiling inside the meat. So what you have to do is you've got to let those juices settle. If you don't, you cut it right away, the juices spill out and you don't have the moisture in these roasts. They're very important that you do this. So let me get this into the oven, and I'm going to be baking mine at 350. I've just got a crazy week this week, that's all. So I'm gonna let that cook. So, bye-bye.